I'm terribly sorry for keeping you guys. I was getting otherwise distracted there. Oh my goodness. Just trying to look for some juicy content and wasn't sure and had to set all this up, and I thought it was completely on time and on the money, but unfortunately not. Let me just pop the chat and we'll get cracking in here. Some funny information. So what have we got here? Henman says, come on, Boris, mate. Oh, very interesting. We'll get to the predictions in a second. So let us have a wee look at this. Don't tell me I don't get you the juicy stuff. I was trying to sort out this. It was taking me ages to try and get this completely correct. So let's see. How's it going? It's going good, Adolf, sir. Going good. So we'll just have to have a wee look at this, see what's happening. So this is amazing. I don't know if you guys saw this. I'm going to break this down as well. So this is Jada Francis talking to Nicola Sturgeon, and I'm going to break it down bit by bit. I don't know Jada Francis. I don't know anybody that's been in the BNP, National Front. I don't know anybody. I wouldn't not talk to them, and I wouldn't start abusing them. I would ask them where they were in the political spectrum. I wouldn't just prejudge people and start calling them things unless I had definite reasons for saying things, and I knew for a fact that things were correct. Things were absolutely correct. So I'm going to list this. Let's go through this and list the things that actually happen here. So this is great. Jada Francis versus Wee Nippy in the south side of Glasgow. Now, I'll just break it down because this is just absolutely politically delicious. Very interesting, always good when politicians are addressed. Jada Francis does it in a polite manner. Nicola Sturgeon may not agree with her, but I would not, regardless of who that politician was, I would not ignore them. I wouldn't ignore members of the public that had different political opinions to me. I would stand and listen to them, and I wouldn't start berating them. Unless there was calls to actually berate them, but I wouldn't just start berating people who didn't agree with me. That's just one thing. Even if Jada Francis was the things that Nicola Sturgeon was saying to her, she should have actually had a political discourse. This reminds me of Mr. Sarwar. Mr. Sarwar did not want to address the underlying issues. And although he only called me far right, it was Peter the Plonker that was shouting racist. Sarwar didn't call me racist. This is very interesting, and it just shows you that the political class want to shut down political discussion before it even starts. So I'll point out what's wrong here and what's correct. What are you sorry for? I'm sorry. And Nicola just walks away. And this person's holding the sign in front of her. That's not exactly stimulating dialogue, is it, madam? They all seem, this gentleman seems like quite a butchy type of lady, this. I don't know if this is something connection there that I'd said before. So I just want to catch what Nicola said there when she walked away. You're a fascist. So Nicola Sturgeon, I don't know where Jada Francis is in the political spectrum. I don't know if Jada Francis is a fascist. I don't know if Nicola Sturgeon has got some specific insights that I don't have. But I don't know that being anti-Islamic does not potentially make you a fascist. Islam's a political ideology as well, and it's authoritarian and to the right of centre. So being anti-Islamic doesn't necessarily make you a fascist. And I would say Islam is more fascistic. It's certainly authoritarian and can be totalitarian in its political system, which has not been addressed, and people just think it's a religion, which it's not. But she's calling Jada Francis a fascist. So this is going to be a very interesting interchange between these two women. So Nicola Sturgeon has decided that Jada Francis is a fascist, which I don't know if Jada Francis is a fascist or not. There's that washing machine on again. Jeez, man, honestly. Right, so I don't know. So let's carry on with this.
You're a fascist.
So now they are calling Nicola Sturgeon a fascist. But Nicola Sturgeon is not a fascist. What Nicola Sturgeon is a postmodernist, intersectional Marxist. She's a postmodernist Marxist, not just the conventional Marxist. She is like follows the critical race theory. She's trying to implement it in school. We know this. This is documented. We have seen what she has done, and she is definitely a Marxist. So Jada Francis, when you listen to it, is actually correct, and she is, but she's not a traditional Marxist for the working class. She's part of this postmodernist, anti-white, anti-men, lesbian, intersectional feminist Marxism from the Frankfurt School, and obviously with some infection from the French as well, from the critical race theory. So France and Germany had this as the theory. So Jada is actually partly correct, but it was the reinvention of Marxism after the 100 million people had died, and they said, well, we have to change this and now into the racist Marxism that we've got through the Frankfurt School. And it's now permeating critical race theory and intersectionality. That's now permeating every aspect of American society now.
Women to be raped in Government Hill and you say nothing about it.
So they've now said the same as me. Women are being raped in Government Hill and you've said nothing about it, which I don't know. See, I only knew from the articles from the Express and the Sun articles. I didn't know if these are the raping of children by Muslims was happening in Government Hill. Certainly there's been questions about what was happening with children from the Roma community that was addressed as well. I didn't know much about that either. But this person saying that it is happening in Govan Hill. Apparently Nicola Sturgeon isn't doing anything about it. And obviously the media are covering up for Anna Sawar as well about this as well.
I'm not a fascist. Do you really think that Mark...
Look, I missed that. I don't want to miss any of this conversation.
None about it.
I'm not a fascist.
She said, Jada Francis said, I'm not a fascist. But I don't know if Jada Francis is a fascist or if she's not a fascist. I don't know where Jada Francis is in the political compass. So it would be very interesting. I would certainly sit down with either Jada Francis or Nicola Sturgeon and actually pick on what they're actually saying. What is Jada Francis and where is Jada Francis in the political compass? I don't think she should be silenced. But Nicola Sturgeon is a reverse racist, and I use reverse racist in that she's wanting to push this anti-white critical race theory through the party. So Nicola Sturgeon is definitely from the Frankfurt School and the anti-white racist Frankfurt School that is now being permeated, and she's already on the record for saying that she's the Scotland's institutionally racist. Well, you're head of it. So if it's institutionally racist, then it's because of you, isn't it? But of course, that's just code for actually being anti-white and being racist against white people from the critical race theory. Remember this as well. People are starting to get wise to the racist, racist Marxist theory that's coming, the critical theory that's coming through as well. So Jada Francis is correct in what she said to you.
Do you really think that Marxism is what's best for Scotland?
Very interesting. Do you think that Marxism is what's best for Scotland? And we already know that Nicola Sturgeon's tax and spend is just a disaster. She's ciphering off money. So Jada Francis, again, is not wrong, but I would suggest it's postmodernist Marxism, not just Marxism, but postmodernist Marxism in the wee nippy as an SJW, a social justice warrior. She wants one rule for one for another, based on ethnicity or parts of certain groups. We know that for a fact. That's not debatable. It's not something you can come up and say, Dave, that's wrong. What you're saying is wrong. We know that because it's down on her policies. What are you guys saying? The tards think Nippy's done well here. I know, it's unbelievable. Done well. I've just watched this. Fascinating. Yesterday's it was, isn't it? She was outside the polling station today welcoming Syrians who turned out to vote for FC. Is that not illegal? No, it's not, because Nicola Sturgeon now lets refugees vote on Scottish election and other nationalities vote in Scottish elections, because she's a globalist and pushing the globalist narrative. So no, it's not illegal. This shows the calibre of Sturgeon. Yeah, of course, Ned and the coward and the social justice warrior Theresa, of course it does. Can't stand her ground, instead retreats. When she's confronted by somebody who has actually got her number, she runs away. And that's the person that's leading Scotland. I would at least have a conversation with her. But again, you saw what they did to me when I was talking to Sawar about something not dissimilar. They should just shout racist and try and shut you down, call you a bully and whatever else, because they know that this is happening, but they don't want to address it. They think they can sweep it under the rug and it'll go away. And also their globalist agenda is already ongoing. So we already know what the globalist agenda is that Nippy's part of. I don't know Jada Francis. I don't know anybody who is in these smaller organisations. I only briefly spoke to Tommy Robinson to bring you some interesting information about what was happening down with Tommy Robinson. But you know my thing's politics across the board. And just now, Jada Francis, in her analysis of where Nicola Sturgeon is in the political compass, is not wrong. It's just not wrong. And Nicola Sturgeon is a Marxist.
Fascism doesn't explain itself. That's why you're walking away. You're a real fascist.
Well, we already know that fascism came out of socialism, and the communism, Marxism, is a totalitarian, certainly authoritarian ideology, similar to fascism. Similar but different. Probably fascism is not anti-Semitic. There was 100,000 Jews in the Italian fascist party, and that is, but certainly both Mussolini and Giovanni Gentili were fascist. But Nicola Sturgeon, this is where you have to get your terminology correct. Nicola Sturgeon is a social justice warrior, part of the critical race theory. The critical race theory came out of the critical theory from the Frankfurt School, and Nicola Sturgeon is one of these reform Marxists. We have to know that. It is these types of ideologies that has held Scotland back from being a liberal democracy. Don't forget, I told you I'm a libertarian liberal. Don't know where Jada Francis is in the political spectrum. It would be fascinating to see Jada Francis's political compass test. I don't know if she's a fascist or not. Don't know. I don't know where Jada Francis is in the political spectrum. Being anti-Islamic does not per se make you a fascist.
You're trying to turn Scotland into a socialist republic.
Well, that's not wrong. That's not wrong. Trying to turn Scotland into a socialist republic, that is correct. You couldn't fault the guy for saying that. Oh, you're an absolute disgrace. That's very interesting. Well, she's been a shockingly poor First Minister when you compare domestic issues, but which is going to make it even more incredible that she's going to get re-elected on Saturday as First Minister. It's incredible what has been done, and that she's going to be re-elected. Absolutely staggering. We'll see the local view later on. Well, I guess if you're replacing them with Syrians, then it would then the local view is going to be very different to what other people may think, Nicola. Oh, look at that. There's Jada saying that as well. So, very interesting. And now just using the word racist. Not addressing the underlying issues. Just using the word racist to dismiss. Not addressing what Nicola Sturgeon's underlying issues are. So that's all they can do. They've only got a one-word answer. This racist. You're racist. Not debating the points. Racist. To dismiss the conversation. Was it racist for these Muslims to rape non-Muslims in Glasgow, or was it bigoted, or what was it, Nicola, with these one-word answers? Yeah.
I'm a proud Scotsman and I don't like my country being turned into another country by you.
Well, I guess that's a legitimate point of view. If you think about your house, and I'll come on to the libertarian arguments later in the week when I discuss Carol Benjamin's answers for libertarians, which I agree with a lot of it. This is not a gotcha for Carol, but this is very, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, we already know the globalist agenda is to use mass immigration to replace the populace, and Nicola Sturgeon is part of that. Nicola Sturgeon is a globalist shill, and the underlying deficit that we'll have is the Marxism that or the social justice Marxism that she's also pushing.
Fascist, you are
fascist and racist. That's it. That's all I've got. I mean, I was called far right and racist. I'm a libertarian liberal and don't believe in race. So, but that's all I've got. That's to shut down the conversation. That's because they don't have the answers, because they already know what they're doing. So the south side of Glasgow, who is the most, this is from the words earlier on, the most diverse constituency that Nicola Sturgeon now has to pander to, is going to reject Jada Francis. Well,
because they're a new party.
Which, if they're a new party, I don't think they even were given the ability to become a party by the Electoral Commission, which again, preventing new parties to me, and it's all part and parcel of them closing down social media, closing down anybody that's not following the one world government, the new world agenda, and that's what they're doing. So they can just shut you down, replace you through the use of mass immigration. Don't want flooded with immigrants. Well, Nicola Sturgeon has already decided that that's what her policies are going to be. Not only flooded, but given the right for refugees to vote in Scottish elections. They will be given social provisions, although we already know that a sizable proportion are refugees, and we already know the Tories have signed us up to the Barcelona Process Union, the Mediterranean, and the UN Compact in Marrakesh on refugees. So we already know that we've basically been given a de facto open immigration policy by Nicola Sturgeon, by the Labour Party, by the Liberals, by the Greens and the Tories. So it's a complete panoply of the five major parties. You've not got a choice there. All of them are saying exactly the same thing. This guy looks a bit light in the loafers, but it's funny how there seems to be a cabal of people with a certain type of outlook in life, shall we say.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I'm not against immigration or immigrants either, to be brutally honest as well. But I think if you've got, it's not immigration or immigrants that's the issue, it's the underlying globalist agenda that's the issue. And we have to understand what that issue is to be able to address it properly.
You said you're embarrassed to even say you're a national.
you said you're embarrassed to say that you're a nationalist, which is correct, but she didn't say what you are. See, the question that I would have asked her is, you did say you were embarrassed to say you're a nationalist, so what are you then, Nicola? How would you define yourself? That's the question. That's unfortunately, the guy's correct. Whoever's shouting in the background is correct. But the question that you should have asked is, if you're embarrassed to say you're a nationalist, then what are you? Not what are you not, what are you?
I think, for instance, I think it was a very bad mistake combining Cabinet Secretary and National Security Advisor. They're two jobs. One person, even if you were a cross of Einstein, Wittgenstein and Mother Teresa, you couldn't possibly do both jobs. And I think that temporarily weakened the national security.
That's quite enough for him as well. Another globalist shell there as well. So, what are you guys saying? Dub auto convert, she'll be gone in 18 months. Yeah, well, I think there's macerations within the party as well. Certainly people who backed Joanna Cherry, who'd be another disaster. She's just another shill for the globalists. That part of the gay mafia is also potentially got a lot of backing. There's a lot of disquiet about Nicola Sturgeon in the party. So Nicola may well be on to her last period of governance anyway, because there may be, I mean, she lost, I think, a lot of the NEC positions as well, internally within the political party. So that's going to be quite interesting as well. If she actually hangs, how long she's going to hang on just now. And I don't know if that extreme left, don't forget, they used to call the SNP the Tartan Tories. They're certainly more like the Communist Party of North Korea, Democratic North Korea, just now, and certainly not socialist. And Alex Salmond is certainly of the left, whether it's Social Democrat or not. I hope Humza gets voted out. Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath either for Humza getting voted out as well. Unfortunately, the Scots and the Scottish electorate seem to not, or maybe they do have a grasp, maybe they want to live in some sort of neo-communist dystopia. Maybe that's what their desire is, because they're certainly voting for the clowns that are actually prepared to walk you down that path. She'll be gone in 18 months. Next year's Holyrood will be a waste of time. She'll be looking over her shoulder, trying to remember and cover up her lies and corruption. Yeah. Well, especially if you guys in the Scottish populace has actually voted in Georgie Porgy and Alex Salmond and even Count Dankula. I don't think Count Dankula is going to get voted in, but hopefully he'll continue to stand, and over a period of time he'll get voted in. That would be great. Off topic, but looking forward to the results of the audit in Arizona. Oh, the auditing, are they? That's very interesting. Yes, it seems like the Democrats don't want the audit. They seem to be running away from that. I thought they had nothing to hide there. Davey, I don't know if she destroyed her. I think Jada Francis got her points, got the thing on point. Rachel Madcow is shitting herself. Was this outside a polling station? Yeah, some election day illegal canvassing going on. Yeah, apparently the Labour Party have been doing that as well. Let me just try and get this up for you. Look at this. This is the Labour for you. Corrupting the process as usual. Look at this. This is Councillor Rachel Ellis of Gedling pushing through money, it looks like, and leaflets. Delivering leaflets for council election. That looks like money. I don't know what that looks like. And then something goes through the door. Alright, that's clever, isn't it? Alright. Is that how Labour wins the seats, is it? Alright. It's very interesting. What did you see what happened there? Here she comes. Oh, there's some money going through. What is this? What is that? There's already a leaflet there. A quick glance, no one checked. Oh, that's quite clever. She's using tongs to actually put what looks like money through the door. All right, another quick glance to check no one's home. Oh, that's very clever, isn't it? It's an interesting way. No wonder Labour's losing all over the place, is it? Oh my goodness! Labour Party, Labour grouping, Bestwood St Albans. Another councillors representing the ward. Oh, that's fascinating. I'll just put a wee like on that. That's very interesting. Nothing to see here then. Nothing to see here. So what have we got? I'll get rid of Dave there. So, election results 2021, counting to begin as polls close. Oh, here comes the ballot stuffing from the postal votes. The polls have closed across Britain in the biggest set of votes since the 2019 general election. So this was 1 hour ago on the BBC. Throughout the day, voters have picked representatives from the Scottish Parliament, Welsh Senate, as well as mayors and local councils in England. Voters in England and Wales also voted for police and crime commissioners. The results are due to come in over... So they must be able to restrict the crime commissioners' results come in over the next few days, with the outcome of the Hartlepool by-election expected in the early hours of Friday morning. So that'll be this morning. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, elections in 2020 were postponed, leading to particularly large set of polls taking place this year. Who is elected? So we've got the English councils, 144 councils approximately. That's councils, not councillors who represent the councils. There'll be significantly more councillors. I would take a few, 5,000, approximately 5,000 seats. So approximately 5,000 councillors in England have to be decided. And the councils, I think there's mayoral elections as well. So we've got Police and Crime Commissioners, 39. The Scottish Parliament elections, 129. London Assembly, 25 seats. Welsh Senate, 60 seats. Directly elected mayors, 13, including London. And Hartlepool by-election, 1 MP. So the election will be Sir Keir Starmer's first major political test since becoming Labour leader a year ago. The results will give an indication of whether the party is recovering from its heavy defeat in the 2019 general election, which it's not. It's definitely not. They might win London and get some notable exceptions to the rule, but the overall night will be a disaster for the Labour Party. Conservatives will be hoping to build on their success in the general election when they were able to flip several constituencies previously considered Labour strongholds. Both parties will be closely watching the results of the by-election in Hartlepool, a seat currently held by Labour. In Scotland, the results will give an indication of the public level of support for a second independence referendum as proposed by the SNP. Meanwhile, the Welsh Labour Party are aiming to remain the largest party in the Senate, where they have held power since the Parliament was founded in 1999. Well, I would suggest that's probably where Wales might be going wrong. Who can I vote for in my area? I'd put in your vote code. When will we know the results? The winner of the Hartlepool by-election is expected in the early hours of Friday morning, so I'll report back, report back in the early hours of Friday morning. So I'll report back tomorrow for the Guerilla TV channel. The results of the 60 seats in the Welsh Senate are due later the same day, so there'll be quite a lot coming in tomorrow. So we'll do it in the afternoon or something. Scotland counting starts on Friday, so it's not even counting tonight. So that's why he was dead down at the Scottish Parliament. So we'll go back out tomorrow night. But the final results are not expected to be Saturday or even Sunday. Oh my goodness. Counting in council areas in England will take place on Friday throughout the weekend in some areas. Doncaster is likely to be the first mayoral race to be announced potentially on Friday morning, with rest falling later in the day and over Saturday and Sunday. 12 of the counts from the 39 police and crime commissioners being elected in England and Wales will not begin until Monday. So it's going to be really spaced out. And this is bad for democracy. This spacing out of elections over a number of days is just bad for democracy. There's too much opportunity for political interference, as we saw in America as well. So far too many opportunities for political interference. How to follow the results on the BBC. The BBC News website will have all the results they are announced with the live results, live pages with the latest reaction and analysis from our correspondents. The BBC Election 2021 results programme will kick off at 9 p.m. British Standard Time, I think it is, on Friday and run till 10 o'clock BST on the BBC News channel and BBC ITV player. It will also be available on BBC Two in the morning and BBC One from 2:30 to 6 p.m. BBC local radio stations will carry results and analysis throughout the day on Friday into the weekend with special programmes across the network. You can find your local stations here. So I'm going to leave it there, guys, because I think this is going to be pretty pointless tonight. Let's see what they're saying.
This is BBC News. The headlines. India has once again reported a record number of cases and deaths. A new variant of coronavirus discovered in India in March may be linked to the massive surge. United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Kiev, where he's urged Russia to end what he called it reckless and aggressive action towards Ukraine. Mr. Blinken said the US is looking at increasing security assistance to Ukraine's government. In Brazil, at least 25 people have been killed after a police operation against suspected drug traffickers. The neighbourhood where the incident took place is considered the base for one of Brazil's most powerful gangs, the Red Camaro. And the United Nations is calling for swift action to cut emissions of methane. The new research suggests that it's playing a bigger role than thought in global warming.
Do you see how the BBC restrict who actually, so we've got the Conservatives, the SNP, don't know who this, Greens, Liberals and the Labour. So the BBC just restrict political ideas. They don't give other people the opportunity with other different types of ideas to get a shot and actually be able to get to the widest audience. So it's a restriction of political ideas by the actual media and to actually prevent other people from putting forward valid ideas. So that's what this is. There's Andy Burnham, what a joke. Anyway, well, that's the polls closed, yeah. Let's hope he gets out. Sean Bailey, standing for mayor, is the experience of a lifetime. So, with the polls now closed, I want to thank everybody. Tracy, I don't know who Tracy is. Tracy Labour, I don't know, somebody from Labour, who cares. Andy Street, they're all going down the tubes. So, 2 voters in Glasgow North West had said they were temporarily turned away from the polling station because the ballot boxes were too full. Nadine and Joanna Basharat were turned away from Jordan Hill Parish Church Police polling station at 8:30 and told to come back later. Stewart said that the box 52 were too full and they were told to come back by 10 p.m. When they went back to vote, they said they were still very full. It looked like the papers inside had just been pushed down. What are the Labour and Conservative saying?
My name is Henry.
My name is Claire.
Alex. Ernest.
Carmela. Maria.
I'm 16 years old. I'm 17. I'm 16.
I'm 17 years old.
And if I could vote, I would.
I got the chance to vote. I definitely
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we've increased the age limit as well for children as well.
policies focus more on preventing mental illness and diseases in relation.
I'd like to see a lot more of one of the issues in the a lot more support and the education is much better.
We look at the issue today and the sexual assault and harassment. There's a premise that is the job for and that once the boy is that local councils really tackle the issue and give more education in school and to the public. Issues that matter to me the most is mental health, climate change, poverty and homelessness.
I believe that music venues and theatres should all be funded better considering how much people use these and how much people enjoy them as well.
Mental health, climate change and university is a very important field for people.
I will also go on issues regarding creative arts in schools, as I believe they're heavily underfunded.
Young people feel more valuable and respected in society, knowing that their opinions are really better.
That's quite enough of that, but thank you very much. That's great. What are you guys saying? Rachel Radkin, they're panicking. I seen Maya do a few videos. She's stealing the Tory leaflet and leaving the Labour one. Plenty of time to get postal votes that Nippy needs. Yeah, exactly. Many people have enough of the Scottish Nippy Party. She's a criminal enterprise. I hate the BBC, yeah. Yeah, so do I, Teresa. This is the first time I've actually watched it for ages, because it's about time they were privatised, which I've already said. I wish that washing machine would shut up.
Hello and welcome to our again. What papers will be bringing us on Friday morning? I'm shuffling my copies of the first edition. Joining me is central commentator Joanna Judge and the Bristol commentator, long-term resident fellow at New York University, Commissioner Jones this evening, Faisal Shaheen. Hello again to both of you. Now, let's bring you up to date with the front pages from the papers. And we begin tomorrow's front pages by looking at the Metro. Smash and crab, it says, its take on the conflict involving...
Yeah, that's what the fetus eaters were talking about this. There they are there. So we're going to send in the troops, apparently, to tackle the La Francais. And here we go. Here's the fetus eaters.
In case you want it, let's go to the jet suits. So this is something I found people posting in response to, like, let's just get the jet suits and go down there.
But surely with the guy holding the two packs, it doesn't leave his arms free for shooting at people. Would they not be a bit of a sitting duck there? If I saw this guy or even a squad coming to me, you'd be able to shoot them all, and I'm sure they'll probably get gas canisters strapped to them, which would probably blow up as well. So I don't know how effective. It might be good moving from point A to point B if they were unchallenged, but if you were doing a hostile landing onto something that was able to be defended, I think these guys would be pretty much sitting ducks, but hey ho.
I didn't know this was real. Like this is a thing that was invented a few years ago. So if you play clip 3 just to demonstrate what these are.
That's incredible though. That is definitely the future.
Like people who are listening, so it's taking off with these boats.
Yeah, they're taking off in the boats with these jetpacks across the water. Obviously backed up by guys on boats. But I mean, what an incredible way, how fast it is to get on board, not having to crawl up the side of the boat. You would just go right on top of the boat. Although you're an absolute sitting duck for MD defending the boat coming towards, because you won't be able to shoot back.
Warship. And he just like floats off.
Iron Man.
Yeah, like a little Iron Man. Yeah, it's not actually.
I still don't know how effective it is. It may be effective for moving troops across non-defended, quickly across non-defended terrain, but I think if you're floating about one of these things, unless you're very high, that you're going to get shot down very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this was posted on the Twitter page, the Raw Navies. So the idea is essentially this is like pirate vessels.
What a great thing it looks though. You just absolutely love to go on one of those. It's incredible. You just wouldn't want one of them. You just wouldn't want one with them going having a problem with. You'll be flying around in circles. So I'm going to leave it there. I don't think. There's. This is quite interesting as well. This guy's a nice fella as well. What's his name? Michael Haver. Good channel as well. So go on, Michael Haver. He's getting more subscribers than I am. Lucky fella. Let's hear what Michael's saying here. It's only 2 minutes long. Go on, Michael, after you.
UK economy set to grow at its fastest rate since World War II. Great news, positive news, so blatantly positive that even the BBC today have been forced to report it. I'm going to bring you all the very latest in this video, guys. Please start as ever by making sure you hit subscribe and the bell, and please do give this video a big thumbs up. Now, I did highlight not that long ago how some were obsessing over Westminster soap opera, how actually the fact that the Bank of England were coming out with what was likely to be an upgraded growth forecast on the day of the elections was likely to have far bigger what's described as cut-through with voters than silly tittle-tattle in Westminster. And so we see now that the Bank of England are now expecting the economy to expand by 7.25%.
But I mean, I don't know what the contraction's been. The contraction would have been quite substantial as well. So that's very interesting. Interesting that they've now disseminated money to entrepreneurs through the new business teams, which I've not received a penny of, through new business startup schemes. And this has made such a massive difference in the boost to the economy. Quite incredible. What I said as well, if you disseminate the money to entrepreneurs, you're going to get the growth. And I mean, we don't get growth like 7.25. I mean, that's just incredible.
2021, that's an upgrade because they were saying in February that they were looking at 5%. That's now going to be 7.25% in 2021.
Let's see the...
5%.
So the UK economy is set to grow at its fastest rate since World War II this year as COVID restrictions end. The Bank of England predicts gross domestic product will expand by 7.25% in 2021, marking its strongest rate of growth since official records began in 1949.
It's now going to be 7.25%. in 2021, which is a real whopper of a number. For 2021, you're looking at 7.25 as I said.
So Ed Conway Sky, if the Bank of England's latest growth forecast is to be believed, this year we will see the strongest economic growth since 1941, a whopping 7.5% gross domestic product. The growth of in 2021. They also brought forward the date at which GDP regains its pre-COVID level to this autumn. My God.
5% in February.
So basically we're just back to where we were before the COVID, so about a year ago. So we're just not growing any over the last year.
Bank of England publishing its quarterly monetary policy report. That report saying that GDP is expected to rise sharply in 2021 quarter two, although activity in that quarter is likely to remain on average around...
GDP is expected to rise sharply in 2021 quarter two, although activity in that quarter is likely to remain on average around 5% below its level in 2019 quarter Q4, so we're still 5% behind. The MPC said GDP is expected to recover strongly to pre-COVID levels over the remainder of this year in the absence of most restrictions on domestic economic activity.
And 5% below its level in 2019 Q4. The GDP is expected to recover strongly to pre-COVID levels over the remainder of this year in the absence of most restrictions on domestic economic activity. So there you go, guys. The UK bouncing back, recovery on the way. Of course, the fastest economic growth.
So I think Michael is a former MEP for the Brexit Party, as far as I'm aware. Or it could be UK, but I'm not sure.
Since World War II, something that hardline Ramonas said, of course, would be impossible for the UK outside of the EU. Phenomenal.
I mean, the Remainers have kept getting proven wrong politically as well, so everything that the Remainers said has been incorrect.
Numbers. I hope they get upgraded again. We need to see an economic boom. It looks like it's on the way, and as much as mainstream media try and brush it under the carpet or not give it top billing because they're more interested in curtains, you can rely on my channel to keep bringing you all the very latest and positive news for Brexit Britain. So make sure, as ever, you give this video a big thumbs up.
Yep, okay, Michael, I'll give you a thumbs up, buddy. Right, my sports fans, I think I'll come back tomorrow. I don't think we're getting any further forward. I don't want to watch any more of the...
Hellier, the fishing port in Jersey, and all students won't need to wear fake...
Out, obviously there's claims that obviously it's going to be the biggest boom since the Second World War, which may be correct, but in reality I think that it will end up just being us going back to how we originally were before the pandemic.
And finally, I was listening a little earlier to the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey in a number of interviews, one's against the BBC, one's against...
I wonder if these two are Remainers on Remain TV.
Channel 4 News. Various interviews stressing, look, if this happens and it's great news, it's only going to put us back where we were at the end of 2019. We're not moving beyond the situation we're in. So all the basic problems in the British economy and the good bits are as they were in December 2019.
Yeah, but you've disseminated more money to entrepreneurs to actually allow them to kickstart their businesses and kickstart the economy. So we should see an increase in productivity, possibly in productivity, but an increase in economic output because you've actually started to disseminate the money to entrepreneurs, which is the right thing to do. I'm certainly not criticising, but that's where you've actually got the growth from. And you'll probably see continued growth from that dissemination as well. You might see next year 5% growth. So it might not be as high, but you might see substantial growth next year as well. Because of the economic activity, because of the dissemination of the money to the entrepreneurs.
Yes, some people might be, happy about, given everything that's happened, that we at least go back to those pre-pandemic levels, but...
Well, I mean, we've just spent a year sitting in the house doing nothing. Of course, we're going to be happy. I think I'm not sure if this woman's like an Islamist Marxist. I'm not quite sure if she's a gimp.
The pandemic has raised lots of questions about the way the economy works and who it works for. The ways in which it's exposed the low pay that essential workers get, for instance, the ways in which it's shown inequalities across the country, parts of the country that have been most affected. What does it mean for high streets?
Well, I would suggest that we put in a negative income tax. That's what I've already said, not the guaranteed basic income tax, which I think she's correct about that. And it's what's saying about high streets is that most of the business is going to go away from high streets for retail to online situations and retailers as well. So there's going to be a move, and the government's going to have to get some way of taxing, like Amazon. How can a high street with all the overheads that the high street store is going to get, compete to something like Amazon on price. So, and with Amazon not having to pay any or little tax in the UK, yet being able to facilitate a business that will put other businesses out of business because they're not paying any tax or have got limited overheads. So there's going to have to be some serious thinking about what actually happens here.
It might be okay in cities, but for towns that have already seen high streets decline. So I think we have to be a bit guarded here about this sort of V-shaped recovery, because it does mean that we're just going back to an old normal where, the NHS didn't have enough resources.
I know, but you increase growth, you're going to get higher tax returns, so which is going to allow people to put more money into public services. I mean, really, you need to have a wee bit more joined up thinking here. Pfizer, I think your name was?
Whereby there were huge inequalities, and where young people,
There's always going to be huge inequalities. This mythical, we all want to be equal malarkey. I think we can improve the lives of people on low incomes. I think that's a definite, but yeah.
Important to stress is that there were some groups that are more affected. So young people were more affected by higher unemployment rates. So we do need a bigger plan.
Yeah, well, the way to deal with that is get the entrepreneurs creating more wealth and growing the economy. And then they will in turn employ people. That's the way to deal with that.
And I'm a little concerned about the way in which we're talking about this great consumer boom. Consumer spending is not environmentally sustainable as well.
Well, you keep saying this, but it depends how it's done. If you do renewables and you use old products to develop new products, it can be sustainable. There's certain things that you can plant things that can grow and they're sustainable. So there's a lot of things that are actually sustainable. There's very few materials that are not going to be sustainable or can be reused. So you can reuse things. Once steel's actually produced, then you can actually reuse it. If we have proper being able to renew products that are no longer useful, we have to be able to break them down and be able to reutilize them properly. So that's probably more of an issue there. So, well, it's sustainability we are sustainable if we do things properly.
So, you're seeing other countries talking to ministers actually in South Korea in the last couple of weeks. They're putting in place a Green New Deal, looking at infrastructure spending. Similar things are coming up in the...
But infrastructure spending doesn't create growth. Infrastructure spending is a secondary economic thing. And you're just talking about we don't have any... We don't have enough money for the NHS, but now we're going to have massive infrastructure spending. So you would be better spending on the private sector. What's the point in having infrastructure spending? So we're spending money that we don't have, but we're not prioritising the growth of the economy. I mean, come on.
The US, what is the border plan here in the UK?
It's a good question.
What? Say that again?
Plan in place. And I'm a little concerned about the way in which we're talking about this great consumer boom. Consumer spending is not environmentally sustainable as well. So, you're seeing other...
Says you.
The countries talking to ministers actually in South Korea in the last couple of weeks. They're putting in place a Green New Deal.
No, we're not doing the communist malarkey.
Infrastructure spending. Similar things are coming up in the US. What is the border plan here in the UK?
The border plan? The border plan is you don't come here illegally or you get deported. That's the border plan. That should be the border plan. And the failure of the Conservatives, because the Conservatives are up to their neck in open borders as well, is the fact that we don't have an immigration policy. People are just strolling up in boats and getting waved in. Illegal immigrants are not being deported. Even the people who are foreign nationals are now voting Scottish elections. And even the people who are foreign nationals commit horrendous crimes on the indigenous population, they're not even deported. So I would suggest there's a number of issues.
It's a good question. I suppose, Joanna, the interesting thing is in terms of the economy, we've got the G7 meeting in June where Biden and other world leaders, to be fair, to pick up Pfizer's point, arriving probably not in very environmentally friendly way. I don't think there's a boat equivalent of Air Force One, unfortunately. But they're all going to be in one place in Cornwall, which means, you know, they'll all be in a very beautiful part of the UK, but somewhere where, in a sense, perhaps it might give them a bit of perspective on this, because there's a lot, presumably, they can do together. It's not just a kind of dog-eat-dog approach in terms of global economy, but actually to support each other.
Unless India, China and America reduce the CO2s, and the rest of the world economies aren't really adding up to these countries and what they're pumping out.
Since after all, we're all dealing with the aftermath of the same thing.
Definitely. I think even with other events that we've seen, you know, like the meetings in Davos and things like that, I think there's a lot more of a heads together approach after the pandemic. I think because, you know, everybody basically in the world has mutually gone through very similar experiences. And I think when we look at how economies are going to change, how, you know, workplaces are going to change, I think that it's going to be quite a collective approach to how we're going to move forward. So yeah, I think that, you know, with our obviously economy, it's going to be something that's very specific to us and what it.
Well, I've had enough of them as well. So I'm not sure where they are on the political spectrum. What's my baby Guerilla saying? Counting, they start counting 9 a.m. tomorrow, do they? Are you expecting the results tonight? No, unfortunately not, Matthew, no. I voted Reform UK where I could. Good man. Hey, hi Jay, hi Matthew, how you doing? Night Davey, night Dave. And Terry Ann, I don't know why they redacted your message there if you did it. It's a private business that makes them, that's it. That certainly should be the priority. Dave, have a good one, Teresa, thanks very much. Night, Teresa. Indoctrinating the youth with global warming BS, yeah. I hate the BBC. Right, so I'm out here as well, guys. Till the morning, and we'll get back on. I'll see if there's anything interesting for you guys in the morning. Until then, have a good one, and good night. Oh, well, there's Brian. Brian should join UK Reform.
Wait to learn more and change more and find out how I can get better. And I think that's what all of this is about. So
maybe you should. My advice to you is join Reform UK and stand as an MP. That's maybe what you should do. I think you're a nice guy. I think you're quite a nice fella. And David Curtin as well. Both join Reform UK and make sure Tim Rice allows you to get your choice of seats and sit where you want to stand, sit where you want. I think the two of you would be a valuable addition to the party, for the UK Reform Party.
Thank you to everyone out there who was a part of this campaign in whatever form. As I said, love or hate, it's all energy and we appreciate it. And I want to do something I haven't done in about 6 months, and that is I'm going to take this off of my lapel. And this is my Brian for Mayor pin, and I'm taking it off because the Brian for Mayor campaign is over, but the journey continues.
Well, good luck. Good luck. Right, troops, I'm out. I will get you in the morning. Give you 2 bumper editions tonight, just because I love my baby gorillas. And we're out.